the Global Flavor Fiesta, Sweet Tooth Lane, Health Corner, Drinks Arena, live cooking demos, contests, and electrifying eats and beats stage with DJs, live music, and band performances. Then head indoors where industry meets inspiration, food dialogues, master classes, innovation pitches, agri-business expo. It's 2 full days of eating, learning, networking, and celebrating Ghana's food culture and future. It's on the 6th and 7th December, Palms Convention Center at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel from 10 a.m. each day. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind food industry spectacle. And it's proudly brought to you by Enterprise Life, Tasty Tom, Belacqua, Blue Skies, Express Gas, Cosmos Innovation Center, and Z Multimedia, in collaboration with the Presidential Initiative on Agriculture and Agribusiness. This is powered by Charterhouse, 25 years of creating magic. Gastro Festival, shaping the future of food. Good, many thanks for staying with us once more, and I have my guests seated in studio, experts in agriculture and in agribusiness, who are going to help us do justice to the conversation today on agriculture and national progress, what to do and what not to do. And help me welcome my guest in studio. I have Gideon Abuaje, who is an agro-processor and an agri-business expert. Gideon, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And also have in studio Mark Abuaje Amo, who is Go Grocery Online Team Lead. Mark, you're welcome. Right. And I have online, or who joined me online shortly, Professor Julius Hagan, who is the head department of Animal Science, University of Cape Coast, who help us have a conversation today on the sector of our economy where we seem not to pay too much attention on, but that's the sector that holds our entire economic space as a people. So I'll just start on a very simple note. What went wrong with the agricultural sector? And let me start with Gideon. What went wrong?
Well, I don't really think something really had gone wrong. We missed a bit, but gradually we're finding our bearing, and hopefully we'll be able to turn things around when, government policies are done right, and participants within the space are also doing things right.
Right, so Gideon thinks that we don't have much of a problem, just a few things that went wrong.
Yeah.
Let me find out from Mark, what do you think? Did anything go wrong with our agricultural sector?
Now agriculture has to feed everybody else. So what is everybody's taste? If you can't get that everybody's taste, then definitely we can't get everything right. So in what Gideon said, nothing has really gone wrong with agriculture as a practice. But what is going wrong is, how do we get agriculture to be something that everybody appreciates on a wide scale?
Mm. But if we look at our statistics on agriculture, if we look at our importation rate, if we look at our production level compared to the capacity we have, you still think that there's nothing wrong as of 2025?
Agric as an economy, there's a lot of things wrong. But agric as a business, there are still farmers here in Ghana who can't get their own produce sold, even though they grow crops here in Ghana. They don't even have a market.
But isn't that a problem?
It is a problem on a national scale. That farmer, you want to start an agri-business, and then someone will tell you, find your own market. That's how you enter agribusiness. But it shouldn't be the problem. It shouldn't be the start of agriculture. You do it to help yourself, help the people around you, and even help outsiders. But people see it as like you're doing a technology business where you're building a phone. You find your market before you can actually find your product. But this product is there for time. Yam has been there since God created yam. Everybody eats it, but we now have to find the person who eats the yam before we grow our yams. That's a big problem. But is this something that has gone wrong? It's something we can fix. It's something we can actually make available to everybody, creating that access to farmers. That way the imports, the stress on the economy will die down, and then also we can get it right.
Right. Gideon, let me turn to you again. I mean, you don't see mad problem. And I think Mark brings out the agric as a business and the economy of agriculture. If we still have 2025, we still have subsistence farming, we still have 2025, products get spoiled on the market. So people must just produce and just practically sell it off or just have them rotten. Can't we say there's a problem?
Well, like my other colleague said, really it's not a problem. We have to understand how the whole agricultural system operates. It has chain of events, and those chain of events, if they are not performed properly, then you have a situation where there are missteps and that can create problems. So taking maybe why our foods are getting rotten and it's not getting to people who really need it, it means that structurally there is something wrong within the value chain. And those problems are problems that can be fixed. Thank God we are living in an era where there is so much technology, and it can play a pivotal role in helping us resolve some of these challenges within the value chain. So for me, I don't really see it as a problem, because even if it is a problem, it brings up another business opportunity for people to tap into. And for that matter, I think whatever structural problems we have within the agricultural space is something that can be worked on. It's something that can be fixed, and we can get it right if we are able to put certain systems and structures in place. Yeah.
Okay. Now you make mention of technology in agriculture. Let me find out from you, what's the extent to which we adopt technology in agriculture in Ghana?
I would say in two folds. On the software side, I think it's still in the nascent stage. It's only the big guys who are able to adopt and implement most of these soft systems in terms of technology. But on the hard side, mechanical, I think it's been in the system for quite some time. Let me say from
many?
From Kwame Nkrumah's days, we've been doing mechanization. But
look, I'm saying this because
thinking,
you see, when you go to some countries, you see you can have somebody who has a farm the size of practically the whole of Accra.
Right.
That you can't even drive, you can't even walk through, you can't even drive through. Some of them even use choppers.
Right.
They irrigate it. They can irrigate a farm size as the whole of Accra in like 30 minutes. They have, well, I don't know how they call that, air sprayers, or they just.
Right.
Do we have, or do we have such make that you can have one farm which can produce products which can feed like maybe almost all of Ghana? Do we have such?
We have big farms. We have big farms that are applying technology to reduce some of the systems that
in Ghana
are real. Yes, we do.
Okay.
And let me just give this example. You know, when you go to India, you have large population that is into agriculture, small scale farming, right? Then you compare to Australia. Australia has vast lands, but they don't have the human resource. So in these two scenarios, the Australians will apply more mechanization to reduce stress on the human resource. Whereas in India, they will use the human resource and find a way to connect all the produce that are produced on these small scale farms into bigger aggregates so that it can be sold on a bigger market. And that is how the whole issue has to be seen. Ghana has a population. Some are homestead, i.e. they live on the farmlands and that is all that they do. They cultivate the land and they sell the produce from the land. Scattered all over. In order to make them functional and to be as competitive as what you have in Australia or other places, you need to find a way to create an efficient ecosystem, cooperatives, that allows the farmers to be able to get their products aggregated in larger scale and then create a better value chain so that the products can get to the people that needs it. In that score, you'll be able to do the same thing just like the Australians are doing, but with a different technology and strategy. And that's why I'm saying, yes, small scale, smallholder farms. But if we set up good systems that allow us to mobilize and aggregate all the produce that they produce, we're likely to solve the same problem like what one farmer can farm the whole of Greater Accra will do somewhere in either South Africa or America or Australia. You get the same result.
Right. Mark, let me come back to you. From where you sit, do you think that government places priority on agriculture in the country?
I think the government is trying. From recent episodes happening with waste news and everything and the government intervention, you can see an effort happening on the big scale. But does it trickle down to the small person? That's a question I would ask. And looking at it, the big picture is good for everybody at a time when everybody needs that big picture. But there's the small things that we all have to pitch in, like the need for the small farmer to get access to clean water, just to make sure that his farm is irrigated well, like you mentioned. There's a chance for the person to get access to seed at a very minimal cost so that harvest looks bountiful for the person. There's a chance for the person to also get access to feed, if it's animal farming, so that the process is less costly on them. I think with massive macro interventions happening now, we are seeing that transport cost has typically dwindled, making food prices, everything look comfortable. We are seeing a great harvest happening now and a lot of things going to waste. And then is government doing anything to help? Are we even getting that food access to the people that consume them? Food goes straight from the farm to someone's warehouse and may typically stay in their warehouse till it rots. Some don't even have warehouses to even keep them in. These are interventions that you would call on big government to come in, right? But we need to also step in as a people. I always have this reference.
By as a people, you mean the private sector?
As a private sector,
okay.
Yes. I have this reference I do every time where there's this story of Marie Antoinette saying, let them eat cake, right? And you wonder, why cake? Why the people were suffering? But food brings calmness, food brings safety, food brings that appeal that I am okay, right? So if the people have food, the people feel fine. That's a sense of intervention that even in a house, you have your family. Once there's food, there's safety, people are calm. The house is okay to live in. But once things begin to change, economies begin to change, then people start telling you that you're bad government because you don't have the money they're using to buy food. The food they want is the food that they can eat. They don't just want just anything that you give to them, right? If we are able to set that tone right from government to private sector, I'm sure we would definitely change that agricultural problems that we are facing here.
Gideon, you weighed in?
Yeah, let me just add a little. Government will always do its bit because on its portfolio, it has so much to do. Different sectors, and they have to do with all that, else they'll be in trouble. So government can do so much. But for me, I always think any business that costs money, and that has national security implications. Government must always take cue and ensure that things are done right. So agricultural policies, what kind of agricultural policies the government is churning out to ensure that it has a certain system that is deliberate in solving some of the problems within the sector. Because all the 33 million Ghanaians has to be fed on daily basis. Maybe one or twice. Those who are a bit rich can do 3 or 4. And when you have a population that has a bigger middle income group, their taste and preference is different, and they want to eat high-grade products. So government will have to come in with policies that are deliberate to get things done the way it should.
Yeah.
We cannot allow other countries to feed the 33 million people. I'm told our food import bill is about 32 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Meaning that we're giving 32 billion series of business to other countries anytime we import their products. And that can put really a strain on the government, the currency, and a whole lot of things. And next time when you are in a conflict with that nation and he decides not to supply you the food resource, you are in trouble. And that can create local agitation, and it can bring an overthrow. So governments will have to be very deliberate. I'm told in the 60s to 70s in India, during their green agri-revolution, a government decided as a deliberate policy to ensure that the Indians do not import grains. And within 10 years, they became sufficient in grains. Today, Indian exports more grains to other countries than any other country in the world. And they are not doing big farm sizes like they are doing in Australia and America. So government decision in terms of pushing agriculture has to be deliberate. Yeah. We want to be self-sufficient in meat. What can we do? Can we get big farms? Can we get big storage systems that allow us to store the poultry meat? Can we get big silos to store grains to support such systems? And even if the private sector decides to go into that, what kind of support and guarantees are we giving them? Are we going to allow them to compete with people who are importing products into this country that are so much discounted, and it becomes very uncompetitive for the local guy to produce and get it right in terms of pricing as compared to what is being imported? So those interventions are interventions that falls on the decks of the politicians or the government. And they have to do something about it.
But it's good you bring in the importation bit. And let me find out from you, do we have a demand for homegrown products as compared to imported products? Because it looks like now a lot more people prefer the imported chicken or maybe imported fish. Because beyond the government subsidization, some of the products are coming at a cheaper price. So a person may want this Christmas, somebody may want to buy a full box, have so many drumsticks, as compared to just going to buy one chicken. Because the one chicken may be more costly. I mean, if you buy a chicken like live chicken, more costly than the one which is imported. So my question is, do you think we have a demand for locally made products, or people just like the imported product, and that's what's causing a huge demand or a huge market for them?
We didn't have these huge import bills 20, 30 years ago. So what were we eating? Were we not eating chicken? Were we not eating?
But taste has changed, because if I recall 20 years ago, I recall my first time I ate gizzard. It was, not too long ago. Because previously, when they kill a fowl in the house, they tell that the gizzard belongs to the person who provided the money. And that's your father. And one chicken has 2 gizzards, I think. So even if they kill 4 chickens, it's just 8, which your father can eat everything. But then now, and that was when we were buying on the market. When we started importing gizzards, so you can go to a joint, buy a full plate of gizzards. And I asked myself, so this was what our fathers were eating. Even what is the taste in it? So my question is that 20 years ago, things have changed. Then, I'm sure 20 years ago, you eat chicken maybe 3 times a year. Right. That's when you are first in class. You eat one. Christmas, you may eat one. Then Easter, depending on how they go, Easter, they say we are mourning Jesus. So
when
you made it
when your uncle visits.
Your uncle visits. We made it like 3 or 4 times. But now, every day we eat chicken. Sometimes they even eat our 6. Yeah. And then now they'll even show you the science behind it and all that. So now, in terms, taste has changed. Yeah. And people prefer the easy way out. Today, I'm not sure I can go back to a life where I eat chicken once a year. I can't. Because then means I'm not eating at all. I'm probably doing some health activity. Right. So then, wouldn't you say tastes have changed? So we can compare 30 years ago to now?
I wouldn't say so. I know taste has changed. But in the 90s, we were able to meet maybe 80-90% of our poultry needs in this country.
Yeah.
Today, broiler, we're doing less than 5%. So what changed? Because there was competition. And I have, as a business person, if I have no guarantee that what I'm going to produce locally, it will be purchased, I will import.
Absolutely.
Right? So there must be a deliberate government policy. And that is why I think this government understands the situation and it's trying to do something around it. I'm told they are helping to put up a processing plant in somewhere in Bichim, which is going to be an integrated system where they're going to do all kinds of things. There are a few other big guys who are also helping with this meat issue. And I'm believing and hoping that the government must make it a deliberate policy that in the next 10 years.
But do you think today government policy versus demand?
Right.
You see, the taste of the people also matter.
Yes.
Because as it stands now, take something like the textile industry. How many people wear, Mark's outfit. Right. But how many people will decide that each day we're going to support this industry by buying this? Because if you wear this now, we're not too sure of your money levels. Right. But if Mark had come in with suit, tie, maybe he has nothing in his pocket. Right. But all of us will assume he's the richest man in the room. Right. So there's a demand for these foreign products, and a lot of people also feel westernized. Just because I'm wearing it, they'll say you're a local boy. But when he wears the suit with the shoes, then they'll say, this guy, we're sure he's traveled to 5 continents before. So I'm bringing this in that, do you think that government policy will be enough to change the demand of the people?
Government policy bridge the gap so that those who have the resources to operate will be able to operate. Chicken is chicken, right? It's only when you do the add-ons, when you start adding spices and other things to it, then it becomes a value addition, which brings out it. But the standard chicken is chicken. Yeah. What we feed them, which is the soya maize base, is the same across the world. Right?
Yeah, but the chicken in the house, what they call the fiakoko, I think they are different from theirs because those ones, the meat is hard. Can't even bring the board.
even the fiakoko, they have one that they also import, which is the spent layer, which is also as hard as the fiakoko. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that the policies has to be deliberate because there are financial implications. If someone decides to set up a poultry farm to solve our meat needs, and then he had competition coming in with no guarantees that, our need for poultry is maybe 1 billion Ghana cedis. The local guys, if you can do, I'm giving you half of that. I'm going to guarantee the market and ensure that only 50% of whatever that needs to come in comes in, so that local guys can also take advantage and build a system. Look, we can't start from 100. We will have to start from zero and move up. And if we don't make that deliberate decision that, look, this is a national security issue, we need to have our meat banks, we should have meat in storage. We should have grains in storage. We should have certain commodities in storage, so that in times of crisis, we can fall on these things and build our nation. And we decide that all that we will do because it's cheap and we have a foreign taste. There's nothing foreign taste about chicken. Chicken is chicken, right? If someone produces and he stamps the chicken that is produced in Ghana from Brazil, people wouldn't know, because the dead chicken is not going to tell you that I'm not from Brazil and I was produced here in Ghana. So chicken is chicken. It's only when we add on the things. But it costs money to produce the chicken. And the people who are in the sector should be given the opportunity and the guarantees that when you produce with the processing plant we are putting up, if your products get there and it processed into the various components of poultry and it goes onto the market, you have the same. I'm telling you, the cost of producing a kilo of chicken in Ghana, if it is done right on a higher scale or on a bigger scale, it will be the same like producing either America or Australia. It's the same, all right? It's the throughput and the volumes that you need to sell to keep your system running, and the consistency, which is problematic, right? And if that problem is solved, we should be able to produce enough to feed ourselves. And when we have shortfalls, we call in excess from somewhere to meet the demand, but not to make food import, a central point in our whole policy in food systems. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's not sustainable, and it's risky. Because the day it will break loose, we will all be in trouble.
Yeah.
I was a bit old in 83, so I saw what happened. And we didn't learn from it. We didn't. Today, as we sit here, we don't have any food bank sitting anywhere. And all we are doing is import. When we get the hard currency, we use all the money to import food that we are going to eat, instead of maybe importing technology or machinery or something to improve the things that we do here. We're not doing it. And that is risky. So for me, I think government role in agriculture is very crucial. They must be deliberate, all right? I know the Western world will go after them and say, WTO, this, that. Please, let's get things done right.
But Nigeria, I know they've been quite successful with I know that they placed a ban on rice.
Because you have the politicians doing it. The politicians are doing the rice farming. The politicians are doing the poultry farming. So anything that hits the industry, it hits them directly. And they won't sit there and allow you to bring anything in and then it collapses their business. That's why the agri sector, especially the poultry and the rice sector in Nigeria, is booming, because the politicians are there. They've invested their monies into those industries and they need to make money.
Yeah.
And so then we got to protect our turf. That is what has to happen here. If the politicians can't do it in our country and there are businessmen who are willing to do it, can they get guarantees that, look, you should produce 1 million tons of maybe chicken meat in the next 1 year? We're giving you these guarantees that we will ensure that you get your product sold. And
which you think is doable? We can do it.
It is doable. It is doable. You know, it is doable, so that we spend the scarce resources we have as a nation and invest them in areas that we can improve technology and AI and all these beautiful things that are coming up. And stop wasting all our resources in buying food to eat. It's risky, you know, from where I sit and what I see. It's so risky. No country does that. That your primary source, food, and I mean, in your hierarchy of needs, food and shelter, food, clothes, and shelter, 3 things. You should solve it yourself. Then the rest, if you want others to solve because you are Okay, your belly is full. You can bring them in to solve it for you. But the first three things, you need to produce your raw materials, your food. You do your, what we call the primary processing, you do the secondary processing, which goes into industries to produce some of the industrial commodities that we need. And you get things going. Then the rest we can think of, maybe we sell the crude oil, we can buy in luxurious cars or something. That is fine. But the three basic things that we need in this country, we have to find a way to solve it.
Right, but you call in for government intervention, right. And you rightfully bring in the example of India.
Yeah.
Now let me just take you back a little to a Champon's era, 72,
right.
where he brought the Operation Feed Yourself.
Right.
Now this was a thing we started off as a success, but eventually a lot of problems. People started getting tired. They thought that their products even were substandard. They thought that government interventions like this, the subsidies given were not coming on time. So the entire system came crashing down. Now, assuming government is to take up this new policy, do you think today it will be successful?
It will be successful, and it has to be successful, and it must be successful. You know the reason why? Because we need to get this off our table and move to the next stage.
Right.
All right? After 70 years as a country, as a nation, if we cannot feed ourselves, and all we are thinking is for others to come and feed us, we have a problem. 1972 Operation Feed Yourself, it worked perfectly. But there's one caveat that I think I need to put across. Agricultural problem cannot be solved in 2 years or in 4 years. You should have, that's why I keep on saying the policy has to be deliberate. That as a national policy, in the next 10 years, we are weaning ourselves from grains, from poultry meat. 10 years. I don't care which government is in power or which government will remain in power. I'm not interested in that. Let's get the policy going. Let's fix our minds on it and get it implemented and see the results. After 10 years, we will be able to learn so much along the process. And then we get things going. We can't say that we want to be food sufficient or we want to be meat sufficient in 2 years. It doesn't happen like that because people are eating almost every day. So whatever you are producing, people are eating it. But you need to create a buffer. And that buffer comes in with so many things. Okay, if the world price for maize is cheaper and we think that what we have locally is not, let's get some and bring it in to support whatever that we are doing in terms of the poultry work. That is fine. What we produce, we can eat it. But currently, the maize we are producing, maybe we'll feed us and just some few will go into the poultry sector. So it means that we need to import maize. Are some countries doing the maize better than we are doing currently? Yes. So can we tap into it? Yes. But to say that we should always and continually be fed by other nations and create jobs for those nations where our teeming youth are sitting unemployed and now doing all kinds of things, it's not sustainable. There are countries that doesn't have the wealth that we have underground, and yet they are very rich because they are doing things right. Right? And that is what we should do as a nation. The government has to be deliberate. Either than that, they will be fought all over the place with WTO sanctions and whatever. But we should make it a decision as a determined people, as an independent people, to be self-sufficient in food. It's simple as that. We shouldn't rely on anybody feeding us. That should be a primary policy, and we should drum it into our children that in the next 10, 20 years, we don't want anybody to feed us again. We are going to feed ourselves. We have the land, we have the human resource, we have the research institutions, and they are all going to work in tandem to solve this problem. Period.
But if we are to go on that tangent, isn't it going to affect a huge sector of our economy? Because the import sector, the importation of chicken is very capital intensive. Isn't it going to crash a part of our
Those
economy?
guys who are importing, tell them to produce locally. Give them a grace period. 10 years.
But most of them are not farmers. They are just businessmen.
They are not farmers. So we will teach them. We have well-trained agriculturists in this country. And Prof. Hagan should be on the line to tell you this. We have well-trained agriculturists, animal nutritionists, animal scientists in this country. that can assist us in producing our own feed, our own poultry in this country without any assistance from anywhere. At least I've been in this industry for the last 25 years, and I've seen the transition. In the 90s, where we got everything done. When you were going to school in the 90s, we were not thinking of coming to sit in a bank or something. Everybody was thinking of, I'll join this big farm, or I'll join this big feed, or I'll join this processing something. That was the mindset we had in those days. Today we're importing everything, and it looks like we've lost everything. We've lost everything along the line, and it has to stop. You know, poultry alone can create over 2 million jobs for our people.
Yeah.
All right. Palm nut industry, the palm fruit industry can provide almost 2 million jobs within the value chain. 4 million jobs. If we do things right, we will even have to take people from other places to come and work in this country if things are being done right. All right? Because 32 billion cedis can create more than 4 million employment if my estimates are right.
Correct. Mark, do you want to weigh in this conversation? I mean, about government now coming with an intentional policy against the importation of these products and now having homegrown products for our economy. First, do you think that we as a people can feed ourselves?
I think we have so much demand on food as a people. Gideon mentioned how there are 33 million mouths to feed every day in this country. The government can't think on that level because they won't be able to sustain it with their numbers. They have to allow imports to come in, and then that reduces the demand on people, on the farmers too. Because if you need a chicken thigh, you can just go buy it for a 20 cedis.
Absolutely.
And you feel you are okay. But that 20 cedis, in effect, is hurting that farmer who could have used that extra 20 cedis to get, let's say, 5 more new day-old chicks.
Yeah.
And expand it to, if there are chickens that are producing extra chickens, then you have a whole number of chickens in there. But we think sustenance on a big level. We don't think production on government levels, and that's what hurts us. We definitely need a chance where that risk is averted by making people feel safe in what they eat. What we are importing, is it even safe enough for us to consume every day on the daily? Like, you get up, I'm buying chicken from one business or the other. Is that chicken coming from somewhere that I'm assured when I live 5-10 years from now, I wouldn't get cancer out of that? We have health things that are happening, but we have industries here that are also set to put our farmers on a certain standard. We have FDAs around, we have CSIRs around that have the innovations, the knowledge, the data, right? That they can tell a farmer that put your things right in this way, and the food that the consumer takes is on a certain level and it's assured of a certain grade, right? We have that information, yet we do not use it because the FDA personnel has no access to that farmer in the northern region. Neither does the farmer have access to market, right? So there's always a broken link, there's always a broken chain. But if these assets can easily be put together, if everybody knows what to do, standards are operated on well. And I like how Gideon keeps referencing India and there's even Malaysia, there's Singapore. There are people that have tried this and done it in such awesome ways that we can easily learn from. It shouldn't be hard for us to crack agriculture. It was one thing that we all woke up to. We were born to meet plants on the earth. We were born to meet animals on the earth, right? We came, we saw them, and then we found out that we have to cultivate these things to eat. But now we are importing them from storages that we do not even know of, from places that we are giving credibility based on their own livelihood, right? They grew up, found their chickens, killed them, stored them somewhere. Someone goes to inspect them every day and tells you that, okay, this chicken is of this standard, you can import it into your country. But when that chicken comes, we as a people we take them through scrutiny, get them to be okay for us to eat, right? But is that better off than having it homegrown? Is that better off from having that chicken straight from the farm? Is that better off than having that chicken, something that you can easily pick out of your fridge, knowing that this, I can replace it the next day and I'll still have that same quality? There is a gap there that we have to fix. And I think we need to tap into that chance, that availability. The government needs to put in that policy that allows farmers to typically grow their crops. The access is there for consumers to get that product without hassle. And then that logistics chain is broken. Nobody wants to cartel the entire business and own massive profits out of it. It hurts us at the greater end. We need to find a way where humanity is put at the forefront, and then livelihoods and human beings, or what we take in, is seen as the end product, what the safety of the business, or the safety of everybody's life.
Yeah. Gideon, you're coming.
So I just wanted to chip in this. You know, currently there is a trade war between the Chinese and the Americans. And whereas America want to sell its soya to China, China is also asking for certain leverage so that things will be fine.
Yeah.
You know, at the height of this issue, it started somewhere 2016. That's when this whole thing, 2014, 2016, that way. That's where this whole thing started. And immediately it started on both ends. The Chinese were looking for alternate source of supply. So they go to Argentina and Brazil and encourage people to produce more. The Americans went to Southeast Asia looking for new markets for their soya bean, as well as Africa. And there are vessels all over the West African sub-region. Immediately you call, they drop the products to you. That is how aggressive these nations are in promoting the agricultural products. And we are sitting here, we say the government can't do anything. And the government is afraid because the guys will bully them. Please. It doesn't work like that. The Americans are looking for market. One program that we attended, they envisage that by 2029, 2030, they will have a market outside China that can take all the agricultural produce that the Chinese are taking. And I know the Chinese has also worked the same way, looking for alternate source in Africa and South America. Yeah. And by that same time, they will also be winning themselves off from the American soya bean. So if anyone tells me that as a small country like Ghana, we cannot take any policy that maybe 2-3 of our primary products that we consume so much and we spend so much money on, we cannot take a deliberate policy to get it produced locally and store some so that in times of crisis we can follow. When the Americans were stopping the soya beans going to China, the Chinese government was releasing the soya bean it has in storage to its processors to process, so that they keep the value chain moving.
Yeah.
When pork products were running low, the government releases what is in storage and put it on the market, because they know the agitation that will come in case they run short of proteins, animal proteins. And we sit here and we say we should import everything. We should import everything, and we are all okay with it. No, we should make it deliberate policy in this country to say that in the next 10 years, we're not importing any rice into this country, we're not importing any poultry products into this country. Derivatives, fine, we can deal with that. But these two main things, we want to produce it locally so that we have control over it. And then whatever resources that we have, we can channel it in doing other things and develop our nation. It's shameful that after almost 70 years, we cannot feed ourselves. You give birth to a child who is crippled, and even a crippled person can farm and feed himself.
So you think that there's a market out there
that
we should have even the foresight of tapping into? the next 10 years?
There's big market, bro. There's big market, and we need to tap into. There's human resource we need to tap into. There is a groundswell of nationalism and survival in this country that if the government is able to tap into it, you have no idea the energy it will just emit to get some of these things done. I believe strongly that for us to be successful, to becoming self-sufficient, the government has to be deliberate. It should close one of its eyes and get things done. Get things done. Get the business guys and tell them, look, I want this problem solved in the next 3 to 5 years. I learned when the Nigerians wanted to solve their cement problem, they called the big guys, the Dangotes and others, and asked them, guys, we want to solve this problem. How are we going to solve it? Then they tell the government, do this, do that for us. We'll be able to solve it. So let's do the same here. There is money here, there is resources here, there is human capital here. Let's utilize it. Else people will be running to other places to do jobs that they are not really qualified to do. And unless we want to continue to demean ourselves as people, but if we really want to be a nation that is respected, we should start taking things and doing things our own way.
Yeah. Let me turn to Mark and let me find out from you in our call for government to come up with deliberate policies. Do you think that the government itself should be an industry player in agriculture, so that as we are preparing private sector to take over, do you think the private sector will have the wherewithal to feed all of us, or we should have, should I say, government itself being a key player? So if it's chicken, government has entered into the industry that me as a government, I'm producing chicken to feed the people, whilst the other people also take advantage of it.
So government could try, but are they able to? They have government, I'm saying government in terms of the government having access to everybody everywhere at the same time, right? They could try, but why not make that process rather incentives to help those that are doing it now to become better? We don't have warehousing. We don't have facilities that make agriculture easy. We don't have good transport for our food. We don't have safety when it comes to the type of farming that is practiced everywhere. We don't have controls in place. Government can take on that part and then use policies, use laws, use decision making to set that tone right, where wherever you are, we give you the barest minimum on how to operate. Once government takes over that leadership, everything falls in place. The type of chicken that everybody eats in this country becomes the same. The type of food that, even the quantities of food that people are even able to produce in every region could be done and curated so well that it meets region by region the numbers that are supposed to be fed. The numbers on the daily. And I mean that a farmer would be growing knowing that his food would definitely leave his farm every day. You won't have people in the north growing rice knowing that they don't even have bags to put the rice inside. When people are in Accra looking for rice to buy, and rice costs extreme numbers, while we produce that same thing here. Yeah. It's you go to a cocoa farm, and 150 acres of the cocoa farm, only 50 acres of it is used or is planted well, or it's well irrigated. The rest of it, the 100 acres of that vast land, is waste cocoa. And they have nothing to do with that cocoa. They are thinking of ways of burning it and using it for something else. This is things that government can come in. You cannot farm, government may not be able to farm that 150 acres of cocoa. Government may not be able to help the rice farmer bag all his rice. But government can put in the things where the rice farmer would not be thinking of a bag of rice to put rice that I have already cropped, right? Because we harvest, we go through a process, we go through a certain time. By the time it's ready for harvest, those numbers, even the quantity that will be harvested, it's something that the government would know if they are doing their things right. And they can easily put in those incentives where the person goes, harvests their rice, they are bagging them, it's going straight to the factory is processing them, the rice is supplied. Even in the schools, school feeding is having issues with the things that they are eating in school.
Yeah.
It touches so many things, from both leadership to supply. And if they would take on the challenge of solving the big problem is every farmer encounters this particular issue. Every farmer encounters logistics issues. Every farmer encounters machinery issues. Every farmer encounters things that they would need to put in as structures for their own farm so that they have the best produce or the best crops outside. If government will tackle those three things or those few things, they would definitely hit the market, and we would be having tons of produce available. We have an excess of eggs now. We have eggs going waste.
Oh, is it?
I came from a farm where the guy is able to grow almost 80 crates a day, and he doesn't know where to send the 80 crates.
Where's that farm so that I go and buy the excess?
But we need that. They need that access to the market. Transporting eggs from Volta to Accra because the consumers of eggs are in Accra becomes a problem. The bakeries are all here. The industries that buy the egg on the massive are all here. Just recently on one of the social medias, I saw someone saying that I'm converting my eggs into egg powder because now I am finding a way to reduce egg waste from my farm.
Oh, is it?
Yes. People are trying to be innovative in their own way because the waste is becoming too much on the farmer. Now the farmer has to think about innovation of their own products. Meanwhile, this is something that can easily go beyond a farmer. If you have an industry for creating egg powder, taking all the eggs, turning it into massive big numbers, the biscuit makers, the factories begin to import this and use that for their, even their homes can buy egg powder and then create their own egg mixture out of it. It becomes a different line of innovation with simple technology that you can just get across. But that's the thing. We keep looking at it as the thing is food. It's not just food. Let's get the leadership right. Let's get the supply right. The things that government has direct access to. Roads. Nobody on their own has ever built a road by themselves.
Yeah.
Government would always have to build roads for us. So the person who is transporting eggs would not feel like, okay, this egg give me the free Kumasi Bakra Bese. By the time we do Konongorona right? That safety is in the farmer's head. That access to market is in the farmer's head. That the product that they would, the chicken that the farmer would kill, slaughter, if he does that, I can send it to a cold storage somewhere designated that people can come in and collect it. I don't need to worry about the sale of it. I just need to be assured that my value would come back to me. And that's where I think government should look into.
Okay. Right, I guess you also agree that government should not be an active player in terms of the production. They should just support the policies and infrastructure.
No. So I really don't think the government has to be doing everything. I'm not from that school of thought.
But isn't it dangerous? Because my concern is, if we rely on the private sector and they don't deliver, now we face or we risk going to enter into hunger, and now the importation will come back, and now nobody even trusts the policy at all.
We had the experience from independence where almost everything was owned by the government, and at the end of the day, we had all those industries controlled by the government collapsing. Then the private sector sets in. They did it to a period, and then others felt that, okay, we do not have the protection that we need. And so if we go for the finished product from other people who in their jurisdiction they are properly controlled and managed, we will be able to get in and then seamless, right? So there is a cost involved in putting up plans and doing things. If a business person puts money into that and he's having a competition that is not controlled, you're gonna kill all the business guys in your sector. And that is the risk that most of the business guys are saying. We need some guarantees. We need some guarantees that whatever that we are doing, we don't want the government to do it, because immediately the government gets themselves into it, corruption will start blinking up, and it's not good. For me, I don't think government should be getting itself involved. It must make the policy and ensure that the policies are enforced. And when it is enforced and the business guys knows that we have protection, they will do things. You put up a plant. It won't cost you less than 2 million to put up a small standard plant. And if you put it there to maybe process, how do we call it? Chicken. And somebody is bringing the finished product. Almost every week he's taking 40 containers from the port and messing up. And you know, this whole world agricultural trading is fierce competition. If you quote X amount for your products and somebody wants to compete with you and he knows that you are running a free market where there are no checks and balances, he's going to drop the price and then hedge it again somewhere, right? So he brings the product in, he loses some money, but that money is being paid by somebody sitting somewhere. And that is why I keep saying, look, till the government is very deliberate about this, we won't go anywhere. In the 50s, when after independence, we thought that, okay, and we will work and everything will be fine. Then anytime the government has challenged and it cannot recapitalize, the business falters. And so 30 years, all the business were down. But if you get private sector guys and you say, okay, now I'm giving 30%, 40% of this market to you, guaranteed, they will ensure that things are done right to sustain themselves for the next 40 years because they have government-backed guarantees, which is solid. All right? But if he's going to put his money in plan 10 million, 15 million, and it becomes a white elephant, nobody is prepared to do that. Right? You go outside, people have farms that are 300 years.
Yeah.
People have bakery that are 300 years. So you ask yourself, can't we do the same thing here? Or for us, the piecemeals is what we are entitled to. No, there are guys here who can do the big things. Let's support them. Let's help them. Let's give them the guarantees. If it's government institutions that they will have to sell to and there are guaranteed price, let's give it to them and let them do it. And immediately the person has a guaranteed market, he is prepared to invest anything. He can go to the bank and tell them, look, we have this thing, we want so much money, this is our cash flow, how best can you support us? And boom. And I keep making this example. You go certain places, money doesn't change hand anywhere.
Yeah.
The primary farmer who is farming at the farm, whether it's vegetables, fruit, or whatever, he farms, there is somebody who is willing to take it, he takes it, take it into storage. There is a distribution system that is ensuring that all the products are distributed to the various supermarkets and whoever that is purchasing it. All the calculations are done. Whatever margin that the farmer is for the farmer, it goes to the farmer. Then he can improve himself. All right? We shouldn't make agriculture a poor man's business. We should make it a rich person's business because they feed us. And nobody feeds somebody when the person feeding is a poor person. So that whole concept of we ensuring that our farmers who are feeding us are poor is wrong. It's wrong.
If I'm going to come to that aspect of the mentality behind agriculture, but I'll take a very short break here. We'll take a breather here. When we come back, we'll have a full conversation on the mentality, and we're going to also look at what policies now must be implemented. We are all agreeing that Government must now come in with intentional policies. But what exactly must go into it? We'll have a conversation on and then when we come back. It's still the focus on Z11.9 FM, your lifestyle, leisure, and business radio. Do not turn your dial. We'll be back shortly.
Z101.9 FM.
FM, and we're having a conversation on agriculture, what we must start doing. And before we left for the break, we have a conversation about, and Gideon had told us that there's also a mentality around agriculture where sometimes created as a poor man's mentality. So now I'm going to ask Gideon now, from our educational systems, we are aware of the fact that in some schools, the agricultural students are those who are the poor performing, poor performing science students. So that you see that the grades to enter into the school with agriculture are usually less. So let's say if science students must score 06, agri 06, if you get agriculture, if you want agriculture and score about 09, you'll be accepted. Right from the school, everybody sees the agriculture student as the one who, that is not what he wanted to do. He wanted to do general science, but he did not get it. But he still wants to be in the science space, so he stays in agriculture. Right after school, they are looking for work to enter into a bank or somewhere. So we don't place premium on agriculture. Do you think that that's a mindset we may have to change? Gideon?
Yes, I think that's one of the issues that we need to address and help people to appreciate that farming is the first occupation of humanity. So let's say if it took Grandpa Adam 9 months to give a baby, he needed to feed himself for the last 9 months. So agric is a very old institution and old profession. What had happened in other jurisdictions is that they have made it very lucrative, and they've ensured that the people who feed us are not poor. And that is a mentality I think we should all cultivate, so that we understand that there's so much money in agriculture. Because if there isn't money in agriculture, people will not be importing finished products of agricultural source into this country and take our hard-earned currency back into their country. So business is profitable, and we need to start teaching our children from primary 1 till they get to the university, so that when you take the course as agriculture, you see it as something that you can do to earn a very good living when you do it full time.
Yeah.
I took agric from the secondary school to where I am today. I'm a processor. I consult in the industry, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
So there are thousands of examples of successful agricultural students and agricultural practitioners within our space.
Yeah.
That tells us that agric is a good thing, and we should encourage people to do it. We shouldn't punish people with agric just because we think that they've done something in class and other things. So I think the education should start from the primary to let people understand that you cannot continually allow other people to feed you, especially when you're a third world country.
Yeah.
Britain can decide that, okay, I don't want to even produce again. They have money. They can buy from anywhere. Provided the standards are met, they can buy. That's fine. We are not up to that economy. Our economy is not that big. Our economy is not that matured. It's not. So please, let's do what we can do. And let's inculcate in our children and our kids that, look, agric is a big thing. And when you get yourself into it, it's okay. I keep saying that let's find a way to reduce the primary agriculture, the people who goes into primary agriculture, those who till the land or those who do the poultry farming. And let's create more wealth within the value chain where it's easy for others to join, right? Somebody can be a marketer and be in the agric space, right? Yeah. Somebody can be a researcher and be in the agric space. Somebody can be an AI expert and can be in the agric space. Somebody can be in computering and can be in the agric space, because there's so much work that can be done, that can be created within the space for all these people. So let's get more people off the primary agriculture and get them to the secondary and the tertiary agriculture. That is where wealth is created. That is where business is created. And that is where we can get more of our people into right? If we have well-trained people doing the agric at the primary source, they will do it much, much better. But if we don't even have them, if we create proper corporate systems, we should be able to help those who are doing the primary agriculture to do it well and create wealth along the value chain for all the teeming youth that we have in this country.
Yeah. Mark, Abidi also agree that we should properly introduce it in our curriculum. You know, I teach some students, and I was having a conversation about some agricultural practices. I noticed they were all not aware of it. Because my day, even GSS, we had agric as a course, a subject, that we wrote BC on it.
Yeah.
But I'm told now it's no more. It's part of integrated science.
Yeah.
So they just do 25% of it. So I was just teaching them basic practices like this, Ebunu, Ebusa. In fact, I was shocked. I teach a master's students agricultural law. I was shocked that even the master's students, they don't know, and they are agribusiness students, they don't know about Ebunu, Ebusa practices. And I told them that I learned this in GSS. Yeah. Ebunu 1-on-1, Ebusa 2:1. They are not heard it before. So then they told me that, okay, they don't do agriculture as a full-blown subject and all that. Do you think we should reintroduce it into our curriculum?
I feel, right, agric is expanding beyond just soil and practice. The whole will still be in the person who goes to the farm's hand. But we are tooling agric right now as data science. We are tooling agric right now as AI technology. We are tooling agric right now as diverse comforts. Like you look at it and you're like, okay, the person practicing agric is using drones to water their farm. How do I learn that kind of agriculture? We are not also bringing that level of expertise in agriculture to agric farmers. So they don't even see that disparity of where they are and where agriculture can be. And teachers are also not improving the curriculum in any way. Science has been science, but it's now losing part of what makes it full agriculture, right? We need to introduce these things one after the other. We can get that specialized agriculture field where students learn it, like they are doing robotics now, like they are doing STEM, where you get to actually learn agriculture, the planting of food. I also had the opportunity of talking to toddlers, and what we were doing was seed planting. And after some time, the seeds came up, and then they were just happy that they were able to plant tomato seeds to get crops. It looked marvelous to them. Meanwhile, this is something that happens every day on a tomato farm somewhere, where the seeds are broken, they fall on the ground, and they naturally come up or sprout out by themselves. We need to find that process of making agric education not look different from learning maths. We see maths as a problem-solving subject, but we see agric as what you do when you don't have anything else to fall on. Now I have lawyers who do agric as their side business. You have bankers who do agric as their side business. You have people who go to the office 9 to 5 and will pay somebody to take care of 50 chickens for them at their side business so that they can make extra income. But is agric not a fully blown industry on its own where it can actually solve these problems? The numbers when it comes to earnings from agriculture, the billionaires prior to 10 years ago were all in agric sector or Microsoft, those people pretty much took technology different. But you go and see, and then it's families that have links to agrics, families that have links to old technologies or old industries. They call it old money, right? Can't we grow that kind of structures here where the agric farmer who owns that poultry farm is not waiting for his next generation to go and become a banker in a certain office, but that person would look into growing that same poultry into a bigger business? We don't even have that sustainable leadership within the same agriculture business. Yet we go teaching agric and we are taking it out of our lifestyles. We are taking it out of our practices. we are importing every day. Right now, the chicken doesn't even have a hen. The eggs don't even have hens, let me say it that way. You buy eggs and you don't know where they come from. Goats are walking everywhere. There was a funny comment where someone was like, I passed through Spintex and I didn't see a chicken on the road. Where do you buy our chicken from? It's things that we see as easy comments, but they affect our lives every day. We go to school to learn agriculture, but it's not something you practice when you get out of school. You leave your classroom, go home, and you may not even see any goat on the roadside. But you know that you're eating goat every weekend. So where's the goat coming from? There was this conversation happening. McDonald's is selling burgers every day in a ton of 6-point-something millions, right? But where's the beef coming from? Do they have that many cows to support that beef production? It should tickle our minds. It should let us know that right now we may not need to teach agriculture the same way we did before.
Absolutely.
But we have to let people understand the impact of this same agriculture, the safetiness of knowing that, okay, there is food and it comes around this way. There is, this is how life begins. Like agriculture typically is how life begins, from soil to production to every part of agriculture shows life in its essence, life and death, growing and then improving the thing you're growing. It even teaches maintenance. But we leave all those things out in our curriculum and focus on the maths. We do calculus and then we write BEC and then go sit in science 1 class.
You know, interesting. I mean, there are interesting conversations being coming up now on the curriculum. There's the use of technology, use of AI, the level of irrigation. I don't know what their curriculum is today, but I'm very sure they don't have these things in their curriculum. Probably they are still teaching us maybe how to hold the cutlass, and the cutlass, when you are cutting, make sure you cut it. Which, quite clearly, we should make agriculture attractive.
Yes.
Because I'm sure if an agricultural curriculum has AI, it has robotics, it has even agribusiness, the business side of agriculture, I'm sure we may take it a bit seriously. And I'm getting inclination to speak with my producer for us to do a part 2 of this conversation, because now there's a bit more on the policies, what must go into the policy, even what must agriculturalists even know or do. And with government, I'd have loved us for us to look at government policies, then Kokon Kitty and all that, but my producer has nudged me that my time is up. So I'll speak with my producer. If we have time, we can have a further conversation, and when now we can go into the nitty-gritty of government policies to see the feasibility of it, or what even must government do to ensure that their policies on agriculture, which affects all of us anyway, will be beneficial, that now we can solve the needs of the people. And as we have recommended earlier, then we can have a specific policy that we are going against import of agricultural products. So just to wrap up the show, I'll just take your final words on today's conversation. I hope we're able to get you next week so we can have a second conversation. So let me start with Gideon. Just your final words on our conversation today.
All right. So my final words are that whatever we want to do in this sector, agricultural sector, to transform it, it must be deliberate. We must educate our people so that the next generation will not be doing the same things like we are doing now. We must adopt smart technologies to do our farming. We must also ensure that we are planting and using climate smart seeds so that we can increase our outputs and also reduce our susceptibility to disease and pests and whatever. And all the technology that it's required to get things going, we should be ensuring that we are enhancing it and taking the technology up to how it is now and even improving it. For most of us, we are almost going out. The new generation has to be trained in a way we want our agricultural systems to be operated. And with that, we should be fine. I'm hoping that 20 years, when some of us look back, we will say that the next generation that took this agriculture from us, they've done it much better than we have done it. And they have gotten a better support from the government than we had. That is my praise.
All right, Mark.
So my final words would be, as mundane as agriculture is, the impact is always tremendous. And we keep looking at it in its current form of it being mundane, it being something that you can lose out on, or it's not dignifying. But the benefits that affect individuals, families, societies, and communities is beyond that mundane act. We need to look at that impact. And that is where we can find that value of what the farmer is doing for us. Farmers' Day is coming next week. We appreciate them with the car, but is the car really the impact to show what the person has done for the entire country? Let's think on those things.
Absolutely. Many thanks to my guest today. You have helped us do justice to the conversation on agriculture. I'm very grateful for spending your Saturday morning with us. And many thanks to all our listeners and viewers for spending your Saturday morning with us and having a conversation on agriculture and the way forward. Indeed, we agree today that government must come up with an intentional policy to prevent the influx of foreign-made agricultural products when our local producers have the wherewithal to produce for us. But their capacity is also largely dependent on government for creating a sustainable and an environment which gives them the opportunity to thrive. We can still, in 2025, have a conversation about agriculture where our produce are spoilt on the farms. We can have in 2025 a conversation on agriculture where credit facilities are close to non-existent. But I'm hopeful that next week when we have the conversation, we'll look at the policies, the intentional policies government can put in place to ensure that our agricultural sector is made a place where it will properly support our economy. So thank you all for spending your time, for joining us in this conversation. And I admonish that each time we think about Ghana, we think about anything we do, know that it's always Ghana first. Thank you very much and have a very good weekend and a good week. Keep your dial on Z101.9 FM. Up next, we have the sports team coming. Do not go away. Stay with us.